Howdy doody. Welcome back to the ranch. My name is Mick. This, my 2007-ish, I still haven't looked into that. 2007, we're going to call it, New Holland L175 skid steer. I picked this thing up at auction a couple weeks ago. I've been using it here and there when I need it, but it's been a while since this thing had a full service on it, and of course, I didn't own it back then, so I don't know what kind of fluid or filters were used and what kind of neglect or abuse this thing went through at its previous ownership. So I got my parts in. I've got some work coming up for it in the next couple days, so I want to make sure it's got a fresh service on it and it's ready to go. So let's get to it. Don't sit here and tell me that this isn't safe. Okay, so let's take a little walk around this thing. Basically, what I was able to find online was a really convenient filter kit. All the filters are Donaldson, which is a reputable brand, so I was comfortable with that, but I got all the goodies in there for that. I think there's one Baldwin filter. Not sure why. I don't know if those two companies are related. No idea. I'm usually a Wix or Napa guy. So I got the panels taken off the rear here, so I got good access. I got a spider web in my mouth. That's perfect. Oh, there she is. Here's what I'm eating right there. Let's just get you down from there, huh? Oh, come on now. Don't be hasty. Come on, little buddy. You'll be a lot safer over there. Any hooser. Here's what we got in store for this thing. We got all the filters, all the fluids. That's a lie, not all the fluids. The only fluid that I'm going to change is the oil, motor oil, engine oil, motor, engine, whatever. I'm going to replace the seat. It was $100 for a new bottom seat cushion, and I'm tired of my tootski. Tootski. Getting wet every time I sit, because this is not an enclosed cab. So moisture does get in there pretty well. The note that I was saying I was concerned about is this guy right here. This is the temp sensor for your hydraulic system. And when you turn the key, let me hop in the cab here, put my Tootski saver back on there. When I turn the key, this automatically goes to maxed out. That's your hydraulic temp gauge right there. So, and it stays there, and it beeps at me as I'm driving. It's flashing the whole time. So I believe it's faulty. It actually wasn't doing that when I bought it. So that's a relatively new thing, I guess. I don't know, it might have been intermittent before, but I will say it never did it for me, and now it always does it for me. So I think it's a pretty common thing to have to replace those temperature sensors. Really easy to get to as well, so hopefully that solves that problem. The reason I haven't really been concerned about it, I am concerned, but the reason I haven't been that concerned about it is it's there when the machine's completely cold, like at startup, and it flashes at me saying it's at 250 degrees, which, unless it's 250 degrees outside when it's completely cold and is sat overnight, there's no way that should be reading 250 degrees. So we're going to replace the temperature sending unit and see if that changes. Hopefully it does. I have a pretty severe oil leak going on. I mean, it's a lot worse than I thought it was. What you're looking at right here is 24 hours worth of drippage. So I made sure to put a clean pan under there last night to see how much was coming out, and it's a good amount. So I'm going to investigate that further. From what I can see, just peering in, I don't see anything that's screaming at me. I had the seat up to fix my wiring, which if you watch the previous video, you know what I'm talking about, the seat belt wiring, sensor wiring. I got that all soldered back in because I didn't want those wires to be exposed any longer than they had to be, so that's already done. But when I was in there, I was taking a peek, and nothing really looked wet down there either, so I don't know where that leak is coming from. So, a little concerning. I'm hoping I can find it while I'm doing all this, especially while I got it up in the air, which is kind of the main reason why I have it up in the air. I'm sure you can change the oil without putting it up on blocks like this, but I want to take some pans off on the bottom and see what I see. You know, also give it a good cleaning and all that fun stuff. So I just realized I've been talking for an awfully long time. So I'm going to get to work. We're going to start with draining the oil, and we're going to get to replacing all the filters. And then we'll get into everything else that I talked about from there. Man, my mind is in a scramble today. I think it's the heat. We've been like...
You still talking to yourself?
Here I go talking again. Anyway, for the last week we've been over 90, which has been messing with me a little bit. Reminder, I'm in Ohio, so that's not typical. Okay, let's get to work. Changed my mind right out of the gate. What else is new? Anyway, I'm gonna hit this sensor first. Oh, that is malleable. Not very sturdy. I'm gonna hit the sensor first, reason being, I'd like to just see what I'm dealing with, see if I can't get this swapped out, and while there's still oil in the engine, start it back up again to see if I get an accurate reading or if the problem persists. Just gonna go ahead and get this swapped out while I got it. That's all it is right there. Okay. That looks different.
That's weird.
That isn't even the same thread size. You know, if you're gonna say that you're made for a certain machine, it would really be nice if you were actually made for that machine.
I digress.
So, I'm gonna take a picture of this. That sucks. I really would like to figure out if I'm actually overheating this unit or not. I don't think I am, but would be cool to know. Moving on. Alright, updates. She's really crammed in there. Lots of gunk. I pulled the battery out of here. Just eyeing down the hole here. All this. This is just inches and inches of crap. So, that was a bad idea. So, I'm gonna keep cleaning all this. It's gonna take me a minute, but it's really gonna do this thing some good. Honestly, what I'm worried about is all that stuff being packed up in there. I'm sure it's putting a lot of pressure on the internals from the bottom up. You know, if it's really pressed up against something, it could be doing some rubbing damage, you know. So I think I don't have a way of getting in from the passenger side over here, so I'm gonna have to do the best I can on this side of the machine to clear out as much as I can, and then from the underside. So I'm just gonna keep working it, keep cleaning. Okay, I've got this cleaned up just enough down here where I can see the bolt. I might have to drop this skid plate. It is just caked with crap. Problem is, looking at the skid plate, it has an extra plate welded to it, which I am just now realizing. That's definitely not stock. unless it's acting like a counterweight. Doubtful. Basically every single bolt is sheared off, and even looking at the sides where I would imagine bolts would go, they're not there. So I'm thinking this might be held in by one bolt right there and one cobbled bolt there. Maybe one on that side. I don't even want to get into it right now. Let's get this oil draining. Drain plug doesn't look magnetic. It looks very clean. So I'm gonna let that drain. In the meantime, while that's draining, I say we grab the hydraulic filter. Okay, back up top. This is our one and only Baldwin filter of the day. It is a BT8848 MPG filter. Got a little kitty litter pan here, paper towels.
Hey, you can call for your friends. Hey, friends, come over, I got paper towels.
Still looking for those pig mats. Ugh. This is going to be a mess. Moses, that's a lot of threads. Okay. Okay. Wow. That's a messy job right there. Good enough. All right, air filter next. Man, this poor sucker has just been cranked on there. Can you see that? This whole mounting mechanism just kind of pinches this into place along this welded bar, which is hinged for some reason. Oh, I get it. You can just... Is that the point of that? I'm sorry. I think maybe you could just attach this and hinge it out to change your filter. Maybe that's the point of that. But wow, why did they crank that so tight? Anyway, I'm thinking that's the reason why this is hinged right here, is I'll just be able to, just be able to pull that out. It's probably a 1/2 inch. Yep. Of course, there's a nut on the back side. What are you telling me now? Ooh. Dropping those two. I will never see that one again. The important part, let's see if I was right. Kinda. I wish it would stay. Whatever. Okay, good enough. Let me find my nuts and bolts here. Here, little guy. Come to Papa. Locking washer. Now all I'm missing is a nut. Don't get any weird ideas. Here, boy. Come on. Where you at? I know you're around here somewhere. Here, feller. Come on, little buddy. Where you at now?
Hip. Hip, tip, tip.
Yeah, lady.
Nothing. Gee, dang it.
Nope. I got nothing. It's alright. Just a regular 1/2 inch bolt. I'll be able to replace that. Anyway. Man, what a weird little mechanism here. I mean, right idea, but why can't you have like a stopper or something so I can actually get the filter out? I bet you they probably did the same thing that I'm doing, got like a filter kit, because it makes it really simple. It gives you a little more motivation to change everything at one time, because everything is done the same date and with the same hours, 2,845. Oh man. Yeah, she'd do for sure. I don't even know if I should be breathing that in. That looks terrifying. This one, that's clean. So that outer filter was definitely doing its job, because this one is, there you go. Nice and blue on the inside and out. Looks brand new, which is good. So that was doing its job for sure. Now normally I would take some compressed air and blow that thing out, but my level of I don't care is strangely high today, unfortunately. So my compressor isn't running at the minute, so I'm just gonna send it. And I'm sorry if that bothers you, but it's pretty clean in there. You know, I'd clean it out if it was bad, but it's really, the worst of it is right along the edge here. I guess I better start marking these before I forget. It is 3,015 hours, June 24th of 24. Got a lot of filters to mark, so might as well start now. Cool. Yeah, I wonder how this thing got so well whammied.
Who's your daddy?
Good enough for me. Okay, well, I'm sitting right here. Another quick hitter is this fuel filter. Just got to take these two rubber lines off and swap that one out. That'll be another easy one. This position that I'm standing in right now reminds me of that scene from Nacho Libre.
Where's your rope, Ignacio?
It was a stinky.
But these are my recreation clothes.
2, I know why I couldn't find my nut from before, because it's on the end of my wrench. So never mind, I will not be replacing it with a new one because it's right here. I'm telling you, that heat is getting to me. I don't know what it is. Okay, now I lost it. That's fantastic. Ow! Just pinched my finger. Gonna lose a digit like that. Alright, let me grab my fuel filter. This is obviously just like a, I think this would be primary fuel filter. And then you have your filter with your water separator later on. This comes with new rubber lines and everything. I'll save those, put them in a box somewhere. Usually the arrow means to the injectors or to the carb. Where is your robe, Ignacio? A stinky. This is probably going to be a bit of a messy job as well. Or not. That wasn't messy at all. Probably just lost the prime and it all went back to tank. Okay, I very much prefer filters like these because you can actually see the inside. I don't see, you know, obviously the paper element looks dirty, but they always do once they get wet. I don't see any like chunks or anything floating around in there. There's one little dirt chunk sitting right there, and other than that, it looks pretty clean. So all in all, not too shabby. Like I said, I prefer the clear ones because you can actually look at them and get a visual inspection. But that one came with the kit, so I'm going to run with it, and I'm not going to cause a fuss about it. Here's our other fuel filter. This one has a water separator on it. And out of pure curiosity, let's see if there's any water in it. Here's the next question. This is a tight fit in here. I'm wondering, uh-oh. I must be leaning a little bit that way. Just hoping I can get this thing off of here. Fat chance. Uh-oh. Holy crap. There we go. Can only get at it left-handed. There we go. Man, oh, wow. I'm sure there's a type of wrench that makes that easier, but I don't have it. And I didn't pre-fill that, which I'm probably going to regret after I'm cranking this thing for hours to get it to fire back up. But that's okay. Alright, sorry for the bogus view, but it's tight in here. Last filter we got to get to is right there. That's my oil filter. For reference, the cab is that way, and the opposite way The opposite way is the tail of the machine. So that's where we're at right now. I'm sure I'm gonna have to get my filter wrench in here, weasel her down in there. Okay. Grab for me, baby, come on. Sure. That was easy enough. I thought that was gonna be the hardest one. Oh, I think I'm hitting my pan down there, which is good. Oh, got it. Here's my new one, Donaldson P551132. Ready? I'm not pre-filling, obviously, because it's completely horizontal. Weasel this thing down there, and then we'll be done with filters. Oh man, this is gonna be sloppy handwriting, I can tell you that much right now. Cool. That's all of our filters for the day. Actually, that was very easy. Pleasantly surprised with that one. It's probably the easiest job that I have done in a long time. Now's when the fun starts, because I'm gonna top this off with fluid oil. I believe it takes 8 quarts. So I'm just gonna fill that. I think I gotta look at getting this skid plate off, because I'd really like to, 1, get all the gunk out from underneath it, and 2, get my head under there, see if I can't find where that leak is coming from. So this is gonna suck. All right, here's where we're at with the skid plate. I found one legitimate bolt holding this thing in, and it is a spaghetti noodle, not in great shape at all. Looks like it's from 1982, and it's actually from the early 2000s. Anyway, this is the other one I found right here, which is in even worse shape. There's no way I have a snowball's chance in heck that that's gonna come off with a socket. I might try. And then there's this one in the back that is kind of half hanging on to a crooked washer. Basically, long story short, is if I want this skid plate to come off, which I think I do, just, you know, given the circumstances, I think I'm gonna be torching those bolts. So that's what I'm gonna do. Of course, I just spewed diesel fuel all over this rail here. So hopefully that doesn't combust. We're gonna do it anyway. I got a fire extinguisher. We're just gonna send it. Fire! Oh, it's my my paper towel that I had down there. Dang it. Oh man. Oh, man, there is so much crap under here. Oh, right in the shin. Love to see it. That hurt very badly. Okay. Got tired of playing games. Just ram it with a jack. Alright, I think I'm gonna clean the skid plate up off camera, and I'm about due for some dinner and shower. We should be back on this thing tomorrow just to wrap it up. Ooh, before I forget, 8 quarts of oil. Sending it down the yap right now. Well, I lied. On 2 accounts. Don't look at my eyes. Here are the lies. The first being, I said, I'm gonna fill this up so I don't forget. That was a horrible, horrible idea. Because I'm chasing down an oil leak. And when I find it, assuming it's something I have to take apart, I'm gonna have to drain the oil. Let me show you what I'm looking at though. Underneath the machine here, my fear is, and this is why I'm doing this, see how the pan is smushed in right here? The pan's smushed in. This is supposed to be a lot more flat here. And I think that's from all of this crap just continuously getting packed and packed and packed. And that was my worry, all the pressure that's putting on everything. Even the fuel tank is bowed out here, or bowed in rather, because of all the crap. I mean, it's just every square inch of void underneath that skid plate is full of this crap. So I didn't want to get too far ahead without showing you. I'm kind of chipping away in here. This rubber line that you're looking at right here is the main fuel line. This is the fuel tank here. That is partially wet. So I'm not sure if that's where my leak is coming from, and it's dragging all of the residue of this stuff, and that's what makes it that brown color. I don't know if it's above that, although I'm looking above there and everything looks pretty dry. So at this point I'm inconclusive. I'm not sure, but the leak is somewhere in this area. I'm gonna keep chipping back there to see if it's not coming from deeper back in the pan. But my biggest fear is if the pan itself is crushed or cracked, which is where the leak is coming from. That would royally suck. Oh, I forgot the second lie. I said I was gonna fill it up and then go inside and get something to eat and shower. I'm sitting here, this is now about 45 minutes later, just chipping away at that stuff because I'm intrigued. I want to know what's going on here, but I might chip away a little bit more and keep you guys posted, but I think I'm at the point where I need to go inside. I'm tired. So I will get back to you with updates hopefully tomorrow. You guessed it, I lied again. I'm getting too curious, and you know what they say. Curiosity, he kills the cat. Basically what I'm finding, the more I clean, it's staying pretty dry. I soaked everything down with brake cleaner and wiped everything off. So I'm not gonna speak my hypothesis at this point because I don't want to jinx myself. But right now I am filling up my last gallon of what I need to put in here. 8 quarts total, which is 2 gallons.
Math, 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 math.
Putting rotella in it because that's all I got. I'm gonna check it in the morning, see if we're dripping. Then we can come to our conclusion from there. Hopefully it's not horrible news. I'm gonna finish this up, clean up, and I'm going inside. So I'll see you tomorrow. Howdy. Another day on this thing. Today should be relatively easy, and here's why. Remember when I said I was hypothesizing about something? Well, I was right.
Wrong. Quite wrong. Untrue.
Here's what I was right about.
You're wrong.
All that crap that was tucked up under this skid plate, which is actually sitting here, I still need to clean it. It's like sandy, so it's gonna retain water and oil and grease and all the, liquids that wash along it. Now that I have that skid plate off and I clean the majority of the gunk out of there, or enough just to kind of get a handle on what I'm looking at, it rained last night, and that water, let me show you, that water worked its way through here, drained through. And if you look at my pan down here, see that? water right there, it's clean, it's clear. So I'm thinking the leak that I thought I had was just the rainwater working its way through the junk and dripping down on the floor. And given the state of what was being held in that sandy material, that's what I was getting all over the concrete, was whatever was in all that junk.
That is not correct.
Now, I will say I'm half right here because the majority of my leak happens after a heavy rain. And I think with all that crap being packed in there, it's retaining all of that oil and junk. And after a heavy rain, it's washing it out. However, I do still have a leak. I'm thinking it's hydraulic just because I've checked all the fluids and the only one that I was ever low on was hydraulic oil. So I'm going to tear it open, dig a little bit further. Obviously, I'm not going to include it in this week's video, but I will let you know when I find it, and I'll show you how we fix it. Now, all we have is the remaining cleanup, which here's an example of what's sitting on that skid plate and how thick it is. It gets a lot thicker than this, by the way. So I'm going to get going on cleaning all that stuff up, finishing that up. But I think before I get my hands too dirty, I'm going to jump over to the seat. And really all I think I have to do, I just flip the seat up in the air here. I believe there's just 2 bolts, one right there and one right there. And that top cushion should just pop right off. We could pop the new one on. Today's shaping up, and I better knock on wood quick.
Your brother just took you to space. What are you giving him for Christmas?
I'd rather take my mesquite, my boffy clack in my head at 3. I think that's how the song goes, at least. You're too sweet for me. Can I weasel this thing out of here without having to put the seat back down? Oh, I forgot my electronics are going to be on here too.
It was stinky.
E2? It's easy enough. Ah, okay. So that's what your seat switch looks like. It's just a little push button to show that you're sitting in the seat. Mm-hmm. Easy enough. Are you not seated all the way? No pun intended. Oh no. I am sweating already. Are you? Mm-hmm. Hold back the words you really want to say. Okay. Y'all. Yeah. Okay. Where is your robe, Ignacio? Okay. The reason I'm taking this out is so I have access to the pedals, the foot pedals. If you remember my tilt function, pedals sticking, and I tried cleaning it up from the top. I haven't had any luck yet. Nice. Much better. Sorry for the shadows, but new seat. That's great. Fun job is over. Let's get over to that skid plate and get to cleaning. Amazing. It's actually yellow. Who would have thought? I'm gonna keep cleaning. Okay, so the bottom of this plate, I've always wondered what this extra plate is for. It's at least looks like a 1/4-inch plate. I figured it was because there was like damage to the outside or inside or something, but there's no damage in there. The only thing I see that as is extra useless weight to add to the headache that I'm going to have putting this thing back up. There's only a couple tack welds holding it in, so I'm cutting it off. I don't get it. I'll take the free steel though. Free, as if I didn't pay $8 grand for this machine, which is, I still think, a steal of a deal. So, winning. All right. I've officially spent way too much time cleaning this thing up, but it's like pressure washing. Once you start, you just can't stop. And I am not even close to being done, but I need to tell myself at some point, hey, you're not keeping this thing forever. Quit trying to make it spick and span. Just get it functional, get it clean, call it a day. So I spent way too much time cleaning out all the crap down below. Let me pop down there and show you what that's looking like now. By no means perfect, but I'm sure you remember how packed this thing was. I mean, look, I couldn't even see the battery box up there. This whole entire area was packed. I mean, all the way to the skid plate, all the way up to the battery box. Every square inch was just packed with gunk. Couldn't even see this bar here before. So we've definitely come a long way under here. The bolts for the skid plate was another problem area I was finding. Remember, there were only like 2 holding it on, and both of those were absolutely fried, so I just torched them off. So I drilled and tapped a couple new holes. Drilled and tapped the existing holes, the ones that were the easiest to get to. So I think I'm going to have like 4 bolts holding the skid plate on, which for me is going to be fine. You know, if someone in the future wants to drill and tap every single hole to make sure, you know, the skid plate is well attached to the skid steer, fine, but it ain't gonna be me, tell you that much. This door, the rear hatch, could barely open. I don't know if I noted that prior to or not, but could barely get it open because it was catching on this side because it was bent. So finally got that opening and closing nice and smooth, which is awesome. I mean, literally, you had to give it all you got just to get the door all the way open because it was rubbing right here. So I made sure to gently massage it back into place. So all that we have left to do is throw the tin back on, get the skid plate attached to the bottom again, and I'll be ready to fire this thing back up. I'm sure it'll take a little bit of cranking, and then I'll have access. I'm going to bring my boom back down. I'm going to grease all of my grease zerks. That way this thing is ready to go for tomorrow and should be set. So let's button this thing up. Buttoned up. I'm running out of daylight here, so I'm gonna fire it up just to make sure it runs, and then tomorrow before I take this I'll grease everything. Hopefully all the zerks take grease, because I was looking at a couple that probably won't. But battery's hooked up, fuel system is dry, so it's probably gonna take a minute to crank over, but let's see what happens. Also got to test out this fresh new seat. Yep. I got power. Fuel pump is definitely chugging. There it goes, it cleared up. Just gonna give it a minute. I don't know process with this thing. I would doubt you have to bleed it at the injectors, but all right, let's just twist the key, see what happens. Oh, immediately. It'll probably bog down a minute if it catches an air pocket. All right, running good. Sweet. I feel good about this. I always hate getting a machine and running it without doing a service and going through everything. Prime example of that is, I think the biggest thing that we ran into, even though it doesn't seem like a huge deal, is all that mud packed underneath. Glad I got that all emptied out and cleaned out. A lot more peace of mind right now. So, thing sounds good, running good. I'm gonna fiddle around with the pedals a little bit while I have the cover off just to see. So I think I'm gonna end this one here. Don't worry, I am gonna grease all of the zerks that I can find. I think these two are not taking grease. They look pretty corroded, which would make sense with what I was finding with the quick attach levers, how rough they were. So if those need replaced, I'm gonna replace them real quick. Maybe I'll do a little YouTube short on how to replace grease zerks. It's really, really simple, so not really worth recording. As for my foot controls, it's the tilt function that's been sticking. On the toe in, it'll stick. But I think I greased it up real good, cleaned it up real good, and it's starting to come out of it as I just work the pedal. So I think with use, just getting this thing broken back in, it'll probably come back around. I'll update you next time I use it, see if it's something that persists or if it's something that we need to tear into further. For now, I think I'm just gonna throw the plate back on and call it a day. But anyway, let's wrap this one up. I do want to do one more thing before I close this out. There we go. I've never seen anyone write the hours and date on the machine just straight onto the tin like that, but can't say I'm not a fan. It's pretty cool. So with that, that'll bring this one to a close. I appreciate all you that stuck around and followed along. All in all, relatively easy service. Just a little bit of elbow grease on this one. Took a little bit extra time, but that's all right. I'm happy with how it turned out. I'm excited to put this thing to work, and I hope you guys are excited to watch it because we got a lot coming up with this thing involved. So if you liked the video, please do me a favor, like it, share it, subscribe, all that fun stuff really helps me out where I'm going. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, the Tiki Takis. And with that, I'll see you all in the next one. But always remember, don't be afraid to grab that wrench, get after yourself. See you next time.